Good afternoon everyone, we're back with another development stream and we have made a bit of progress from last night. This morning I was working away on our splines. Hey Mr. Spock. And we have still got an issue, but it's a very slight issue in comparison to the one before. Okay, so we can now join everything up. And we can demonstrate this. And we might fix some stupid things like this, right? But we can join this stuff up. Okay, and now what I have done is, I shall explain in a moment once we can see this better. You can now see that our curves are a lot better. Everything's working. The only thing is this slight little gap at the start, which I'm going to work on, but we shall get that working at some point. But you will notice, actually, funnily enough, that this has become the start point. So it's not the spline, well, it is the spline, but it's not joining onto here, right, where it should. The spline isn't starting here, even though I tell it to, and it calculates the rest. And the reason we know that is because the barrel starts here. So as far as the output objects are concerned, this is where the spline starts, right? Which is obviously not quite correct. But on the plus side, it is joining up correctly in all directions and in the correct manner. So if we go long this time or go short, this direction, right, we can, okay. Now we did have an issue with this before, and we did test this earlier on and it did work. So I am a bit confused about why this isn't working. Right. And that, see, that works fine. So if we try it from here, and we go too far, it's fine. Yeah, that was an anomaly, because you'll notice it just did it both ways that other time and it worked fine. Right, which is a bit weird. Right, but we'll call that an anomaly, and for some reason this one has disappeared. So we'll go too long, and there we go. And that's all fine. So that's all cool. So the fix for this was, I created a variable or an array of the main spline points. So when you created the spline, it would be here, 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 then here, okay? Then I built up the spline in its sections, basically from A to B, from B to C, from C to D. In this case, if you did it in a number of different ways, it would obviously go up D to E, E to F, blah blah blah, right? Up through the array. And it splits into its sections, as you can see, of however many units we pick, and then it basically draws it, okay? So that is how we did it. And as you can see, it is working perfectly well. And I'm pretty sure I showed this last night, but we have updated our crafting again. As you can see, we have an opacity that's radial, goes through the we may need to do something with a percentage, because it, I mean, we could actually take out that. We could actually take out the percentage, because you can see how much it's done. What do you think, guys? Just take out the percentage number. Now, the next part is, so we've got research, right? We've got building stuff. We haven't got power. We haven't got stats. We have the conveyors. We have a grid, even though we don't really need it. We have a probe. And we have remove. Okay, we are going to need a button for like exit the game, or, you know, options. Now, the next thing I was going to do, and it was just purely for a laugh, right, is I have got the free plugin for basic graphs, okay? So we could have a little play with that, just for a laugh, and see what that will give us. Hey Kofi, how are you, mate? So we've got the usual suspects in today: Jammy, Mr. Spock and Kofi. I'm just waiting on Pooh Bell, but I think Pooh Bell's a night guy. So what we'd need to do is, now I have done a bit of play about this before, but it was pretty limited, if I remember rightly, is these graphs. Right, now I don't know what the options are for this, if it's going to be like, I know they do bar graphs, right, but I don't, in our case, we don't really want bar graphs, we want a line graph. Right, now, and I can't even remember what it's called, but I'm guessing, because I'm a great detective, I'm going to type in graph, and it might bring up something. Ah, where is it? Where's the bloody graphs? Apparently there's no graphs. I'm pretty sure, can anybody remember what the graph thing is, the graph plugin? Maybe I've not got it on this actually. Maybe I've not got it in this. I think it starts with an H. Water engine. Can anybody remember, guys, what the graphy thing's called? Apparently I can't remember what the graph thing's called. I'm pretty sure it's something pretty damned generic. I can't see it. Can somebody tell me where it is? Now, this actually might be quite fun, right? The graph one is going to incorporate power as well, if we actually incorporate power. Right? Plus, it's going to probably have to use some... No, it's actually something, it's a graph thing. It's just as I'm blind as a bat, right? I'll recognise it as soon as I see it. Right? Apparently, that's not it. That's it, Kantan graphs. This is it here, right? Right, color, area, time bar, right, whatever you want. Right, this is what we want. Yeah, we're up for this. Right? Okay. Right, whatever. Right, that looks alright, whatever. Right, install the engine. Select add plugin to it. Well, apparently we've already got it in 427. Right, so that was kind of a waste of time. But anyway. Right, so... So where the hell is it? H-I-J-K. Well, it should have been in here somewhere. Do I need to stop it? Right, where do I find this Kantan graph shit? Unless I've installed it, but I've got the plugin turned off. That's a possibility. Right. Ah, here it's here. Install Kantan. Enabled. Right, enable it. Restart. Doo-be-doo-be-doo. Right. So, I think what we'll do is we can keep this in a blueprint library, right? And we can save it to a save slot, right? And we can save it once per X amount of time. Okay. But this is going to be our first iteration, right? So the idea here is we're going to have a product, a time, a quantity. Okay, so that's my first thoughts on the matter. Okay, but we're obviously going to have to shorten that amount of time. We'll open that. Right, so I've got absolutely no idea how to do this, but we're soon going to find it. Right, so I'm pretty sure it's going to go in a freaking widget. Okay. So what we'll do is we shall open our UI. As I said, we're just playing about today. Going to have some fun. So in the game, we've got our stats, and there's our W stats, right? And as you can see, it is a high quality widget there. So the question is the Kantan graph, is it a widget or is it something else? And I'm just wondering here if it is. Yeah, it is. There, it's there, right? A simple Cartesian plot widget specialized for plotting time-varying series with integrated data source. Alright. You sound good. Right, so what's this one then? Can be hooked up to any data source object implementing Cartesian data source interface. Okay. Whatever. Well, this all sounds very interesting indeed, don't you think? So we'll drag that in there for a laugh. Right? And we'll delete our stats thing, because we want to. Right? And we'll rename this, because that's a stupid name for it. We'll call it graph. Right, and what we'll do is we'll wrap it with a canvas. Then we shall anchor this to there, right? Then what we'll do is we'll offset it 200 a pop. No worries, Mr. Swap. Catch you later, mate. Thanks for popping by. Right, so we've got a nice graphy thing there, right? And we're going to fill that up. And now we're talking. Right. Now, what's this got for us? It's got title, x-axis, so that's going to be time, right? And that's going to be mins. We are going to change this, right? Bottom axis, title, time, mins. Right, so that's alright. Floating axis. I think this should be right. If what I think floating axis means, it means that it's a floating axis, right? Having thought about it, I don't care what it means, but we'll worry about that later. Used fixed time rate, no. Right? Right, I don't care what that means. Lower time bound, fit to data. Don't know if we're doing that yet. Update tick rates. Right, we don't want to do that. That's a bit silly. Right, so we'll say every 10 seconds, right? Right, don't know what the fuck happened there. Right, we'll worry about that as we get to it. Right, here's this y-axis thing, right? So we're basically going to say quantity, that'll be it, right? Lower bound value, right, lower bound value is going to be 0. Data point size, don't care what that means. Extend value range, probably. Anti-alias, I would think so. Right, chart style. Right, I think we can piss about with that later. I think what we're going to have to do right, this can't be one value, right? But in the short term, we want to get it working somehow. Alright. Background, chart line, base font, font color. Right. The thing here I need to find out is how I stuff this with data, right? That's the thing we're bothered about here. Okay. So let's have a look at this. Okay. So if we pull in our graph, right, I don't know how to get data into this, but we'll try. There's category data source, there's data Smith user data, series, transactions. What have we got in the variables here? Right, okay, whatever. Right, what we got for default? Nah, it's not that. Cartesian data source or category data source. Right. Well, these are interface calls. Right? Get number of, right, I'll tell you what we'll do. So this is to a data source interface, right? Which means that we've not got a clue what we're doing here, right? So this should be a laugh, if nothing else. Right, so we're going to go to blueprints and we're going to add a folder. Did that go in the right place? I don't believe it did. I think it just went in a place where it felt like it. Right, that's weird. Right, so we'll delete that. Right, so we'll go to blueprints again and we'll add a new folder here. Right, and we'll call it data sources. As I says, guys, we're just playing about here, right? Because I've not got a freaking clue what I'm doing with this. Right, so it's not going to be in there. I'm going to go for miscellaneous, right? Now, the question is, how do we add? Oh, it's not in there. It's not in there. Definitely not in there. So it's not in there. No in there. No in there. No in there. Don't know what that is. It's not in there. It's definitely not in there. Right. So I haven't got a data asset class, mate. I'm liking the look of these things, but right, whatever. Composite data table. I'm thinking it's right, so what can we select here? Blackboard data? Don't even know what that is. I'll tell you what, we'll just create that, right? And we'll see what it is. Data point texture. Right, well that kinda makes sense because it's the point style. Right, but we didn't really want that, to be fair. This is a Cantan category data source interface. Right? So, in effect, we need some sort of asset data or something. Get category. Right, so if these are an interface, right, then we need selected. Ah, frick knows. Right, see, I thought we would be able to create, right, some sort of a data asset, like for a data table or something. Now I've seen this done before, but I can't remember how it's done. Structure, and it's just no here. Object library, preview mesh. So it's none of them. The only thing I can think of. Right, I'm going to test something here, right? We'll do that. It doesn't matter what this is, right? In fact, it actually does, because you can't do that. A parent. Okay. So I'm getting the feeling here that right, so this gives us a number of categories, right? So if we in fact right, so that's basically setting up all the values that we set up earlier. You can add data point, add series. Right, so add data point. So let's have a laugh, right? And this is obviously going to be X and Y, right? Right, so one of them is going to be time, one of them is going to be the value, right? So let's say that's 5 and 5, right? So we can begin to work out how this works, and then basically do something with it, right? So we'll go back into here. Don't know why I shut that down, by the way. Right. We can go back into our controller. And we don't want that, and we didn't want that. Right, so we'll just use this then, right? So we'll delete this, and we'll delete that. And what did I call that? Graph? W stats or something? W stats. Right. So that's W stats. And that is W stats. And that'll be cool. And we can delete that. Can refresh that. Then we can do a for each loop there. The reason I'm looking at this is because everybody in with these type of games, right, including myself, is an absolute sucker for stats, right? They love to see bar graphs and crap go up and down and up and down. So, like when I play Factorio, I'll sit and watch the stats for hours for absolutely no reason apart from the fact I'm a complete idiot. Right, so aye. So there's our thing. And apparently we didn't add the data thing. And I didn't really want the time in minutes either, to be honest. Well, I do, but I want to have more control over it. It's not really a time thing. Well, that's not strictly true either, but I want to control it, what time we're showing, you know. So, but we should be showing like a 5 or something here, right? So, let's go back to here. Let's see what we've got. Do we need to add a series ID? Okay, we'll call it, let's call it copper, right? And then we'll add another one. Right? And we'll make it 10 and 10. Now this is obviously all going to be pulled in for somewhere else, right? Okay, doesn't like that for some reason. Alright, okay, whatever. It's not a simple time series plot. That's an interesting one. We might try that in a minute. Because that's actually what we might want. Although I haven't said that, I don't think so. Right, we'll wait on this updating, right? Right, so where's the numbers here? I mean, is this because we haven't done the floating axis thing? Right, hang on a minute. Right. If we go back to here. We'll say true. Okay, we didn't want that. We didn't want that. Use fixed time rate on the X. Aye, we do want that. But how do you set it? Upper time bound. Alright, let's say fit to data rounded. And we'll say the same there. Right, and we'll get it to update every second for a laugh. Right, so I'm not 100% sure how this actually works, but we'll work it out. Ah, you see this one's now updated. but this one isn't high enough to use our quantity, right? So I'm just wondering, right, if while we're working it out, right, while we're working it out, X is in seconds and Y is up and down, right? So what we'll say is 0.4 and then we'll say 6 and 0.6 and we'll see if this appears on the graph, right? I've got no idea if it will or it will now, but we'll try it. Right, so there should have been points like here and here. Right, now, if we remember, it gave us an error here, right, if we take the target out, right, and then it says something like simple time series plot, right, so we can say simple time, what is that? What's a simple time series plot? Right. Add data point. Right, see if we add a series. Right, so that's series ID. Okay. See, I would have thought you would have got a series, right? And then you'd have added data points to the series. That's kind of the way I thought that would work, but obviously no. And there's get data series points, right? Get a series of data points. This is a Cartesian data source interface. Alright, so I'm not 100% sure how this is working, by the way. See, I would have thought I'd been able to put a point in here, or at least a couple of points. What we'll do is, we'll put a breakpoint in here and see if it actually succeeds or not. Right? So we'll save that, press play, continue. We'll hit there. Right? Step over. So it did, it succeeded. No, it didn't. Right, okay. So what we're going to do, right, fine, whatever. What we're going to do is we're going to add a series first. Right? This is how I get things to work, by the way. At this normal point, I would be tempted to have a look at some documentation on it. This is beginning to make a bit more sense now. We need to add this series ID, right? So you add a series, it gets a series ID, show lines enabled. Right, let's see if that does something for us. Right. Oh, we've had the line, guys. We have a line. There is the line. The line is there. Now, I'm just wondering, right? This line here, right, goes from 0 to 0.6, right? So, the temptation here is that we disable this breakpoint, right? Delete that now. Right. Oh, darn it. Right, we'll drag this out the way. Right, so our main objective right now is to get some numbers, right? Is today some numbers. Alright, now how I'm going to save these numbers, I've not really thought about it yet. But it's going to be done in the function library somehow. And at each minute, we're going to... Right, okay, let's have a think about this. And what we'll do is we'll go back to our function library, right? Now, what we're going to have to do in the short term is we're going to have to do this per, like, second or something like that. Right, so in here, can we do this? I don't think we can do it in the function library. Right, we're going to have to do this in the controller because we need persistent we need like a persistent thing, a persistent set of variables, right? Now, what we're going to have to do is, I think what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to create a component, right? We're going to have to create a component, basically. So we're going to add an actor component, right? And it's going to be comp and we'll call it game stat counter, right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to save everything here and then we're going to tell it, well, it's just going to have an array of, well, to start with, it's going to have an array of products. It's just going to have an array of all the products, right? And every single product, right, we're going to have to think about this. Right, it's going to have to create a save slot because we're going to have to save these because if they get right, okay, So we need to have a think about this one. But on the whole, what we need, the component, this component, wherever I put it, here, comp, game stack counter, is going to have access to a save component, a save slot, right? And that save slot is going to be written to, let's say, every 10 seconds or so. Right? We aren't going to write it every time something is added. But what we're going to have to do is every time a new thing has been created, right, we're going to have to add it to the overall counter. Right? And then on the time that we save the values of that into a save slot, right? But we keep it, wait a minute, do we do that? Do we do that? Probably. Right, I think the best way to do this is just to start doing it, and then we'll worry about tidying it up and making it more efficient, etc. after the fact. The main thing is we get something working so that we can get some values on our stats screen so that we can actually make something look half decent, right? So with that in mind, I'm going to take a comfort break and go for a cigarette. I shall be back in about 2 minutes. So don't go anywhere, and while I'm getting my cigarette, if you guys would hit the subscribe button, check out the description for my Patreon, Discord and previous Steam game, and I shall be back in 2 minutes. Okay guys, let's get back on this. So what we need to do is we need to find a way to save our stuff. Okay, this component isn't, well, this component is going to work for us, but we can't do anything in the function library, right? So if we come into our component, right, we can have a new custom event, and it's going to be called add product. We'll gradually build this up, guys, okay? So the first thing it's going to do, and this is going to have an input of an E product. So we'll call this product, and it's probably going to be just one, okay, but we could, it's going to be E item, okay. Then we are going to have a variable and it's going to be product count, okay, and that is going to be, this is probably going to be a new struct, okay. This is probably going to have the usual, like product and account, but it's probably going to be have a time stamp as well, right? So what we'll do is we're going to create a new folder. That's what we're going to do, right? In this new folder, stats counter, okay. Then we're going to go back to our blueprints and we're going to drop this into our stats counter, right? And we're going to move it here, okay. Then we're going to come into our stats counter and then we're going to create a new structure, right, in our blueprints. Now this may change, but basically it's going to be called product counter, okay, and it's going to be product and then we're going to have quantity and then we're going to have timestamp, okay. So we'll work on the product first and the quantity. So this is going to be E item. I haven't quite sorted out in my head how I'm actually going to save these values, but it'll all come from here. So that's going to be an integer, and the timestamp is going to be we might want that but probably we want a date time code. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so that's seconds, minutes, hours, days. Is it? I don't know. That'll do for now anyway. So these are going to basically be saved during a certain amount of time. Right? And when we do that, we're going to timestamp it, and then we're going to, when we do the graph, we'll do the difference between each timestamp. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. And then when we're using our product, it's going to be time. No, it's not. It's going to be struct. What does it call that? Product counter. Right? So now what we can basically do is come in here, get this, and this is an array. Right, now I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we're going to try it anyway. So if we add now, I'm not 100% sure if we're going to add it and then change the timestamp as we go, or I think that might be the way to do it, right? But we'll think about it at the time. So we make struct product counter, and the product goes in here, right? And we're going to have to check if this exists or not, right? So we're going to write a function. Now this is going to be product exists in array. Now this is going to get changed, the definition of this, because it's going to become like an array, but it's going to have a timestamp, right? And then once we're finished with one set of timestamps, then we're not worried about that set of values, so we'll create another array or another set of values in the array. So like from 1 second to 2 seconds is going to be one set of values for each of the products, and then from 1 second to 2 seconds is going to be another set, 2 seconds to 3 seconds is going to be another set, but obviously we're going to set it slightly different to that. It's obviously not going to be a second. it's going to be something like 10 seconds or 30 seconds when we do it, but you know, the logic is still the same, right? So this is going to have an input, and it's going to have the same as product, right? And then what we're going to do is, we're not going to do the timestamp count thing yet, but what we are going to do is we're going to do for each on this, right? We're going to do for each with break, because we want to do this as fast as possible, so we're not letting it go carry on if it's basically already been found, right? So this is going to be temp exists, okay, and this is going to be a bool, and it's not going to be an array. So we're going to set this to false when we come in here, just to make sure. Okay. Then we're going to break this. And if the product equals the product coming in, right, which is this one here, then we're going to do something. Now we might end up moving this into C++ at some point, but for the moment we're going to leave it. We may need the C++ for pure grunt power, especially later on when we've got a lot of data, right? So if that exists, we basically set this to true, and then we break out. Did that actually? I think I did. Don't think I did the for next with loop with break. Oh yeah, I did. That's fine. So that being the case, we break, right? And then we basically just tidy this up. And then we do a get on this, and with the function exists, and that's going to be a bool. Then that's going to be down here. Then that gets plugged in here. And that goes down there. Okay. I mean, right, forget that. Right, forget that. What we're going to do is we're going to delete that, right? And if it doesn't exist, we're just going to create it, okay? So what we're going to say is branch on this. So if it doesn't exist, it doesn't need to do anything. If it's false, then we're going to create a new one, right? So we basically come in here. Hey Dante, how are you, mate? So we're going to get this. We're going to get the product count, and then we're going to say add, right? And we're going to do that, except we're not. Right, we're going to do it if it's false, and then we're going to add this. No, we're not. That's silly. We're going to make that, right? And then this value is going to come from here. And that's it. Right? We can muck about with timestamps. Yeah, I'm not very good at Blender, mate. So I can feel your pain. I'm terrible. I can get decent results in the end, but it takes me so long. It's a joke. Right? So we're not going to do this. Right? We're going to say products exists in array. Right? And that is going to go in there. Then we basically do that. And then we get our product count. Right, hang on a second. Hang on a little second. In here, right, what we could do is we could say array, no, we'll say index, right, and that's going to be an integer. So we'll get it to do this, so it only does it once, right? If it finds it, then we're going to set another local variable, right, called index, and this is going to be the index in the array. It's not letting me call it index. We'll just call it pause, right? In fact, what we'll do is we'll call it p index. Okay, possibly we won't. P index. Except we shall make it small p. Right? Post in Discord under work in progress or something, and see what people think about it. Right, so we're going to set p index here. And that's going to go to there. And then we're going to drag this down a little bit, and this is going to go in here, right? And we're going to straighten this to reroute node. And this gives us the new index, right? So we set it here. Right? And now we've got our return. We can just put it in there. Okay. What is it? Just a model, or what is it you're talking about here? So we'll put that there, and then we'll drag that out a bit. Right, so this is now giving us back the actual index that we want to actually work with, right? Okay, so we can basically drag this in, right? Then get a copy. We can delete this. Well, actually no. We'll leave that there, right? But it's this index here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set array element, right? And it's going to be this index. Okay. And we're going to delete that. And then this can go here. So we're going to break this. Okay. And we're going to do product. Okay. We're going to do timestamp, even though we're not quite using it yet. But this is just going to be +1. Okay. And then this is going to go in item. And that's it. And then this is going to go in here. Okay. And if we wanted to, we could tidy this up a little bit by dragging that in there. Right, so that tidies that bit up. Then we can drag that to there. And then move this along. And then just put that there. That'll do. Save that. Okay. save that. And our first test will actually be in our, if we open our buildings, right? And if we do minor, okay, and we actually process something, which means this, right? So in our base building, right, first of all, base building, we're going to have to add another component, and it's going to be product counter. Okay, it's not there. Where is it? Right, comp game stack counter. Okay. So save that. And probably the best idea is to rename this to something that's more obvious. So we'll call it add product to running total. Okay. And we basically just need to go through each of the different so we just say add product to running total. Okay. And we basically plug in the item. Okay. And that's that. So we can save that. Right, that's fine. And I suppose we could test this out. Oh, that's a strange comment, Jamie. But yeah, I suppose I agree with you in a way. Right, so now if we do that, right, so we're making product here. So in actual fact, in our controller, wait a minute.
or in any of the buildings. In fact, have I done this all wrong? I mean, if I click on any of these, they'll all have that component, right? Alright, we need to stop that. That's not right. What we actually need to do is add it to this. Right, so this is going to be counter. Right, and we need to take it out of base building. Okay. And if we go to controller, well, into here, we can say product count. Right, and then if we go to minor, that's going to fail because we need the controller. Now, do we have the controller? Indeed we do. And we do that. We can delete that. We can delete that. Then we can plug this in here. Then we can add that. Okay. We can join this. Compile that. And now if we join up our minor, we should start seeing our... That's all you can do, Jamie. All you can do is practice and progress and get better. Doesn't work any other way, I'm afraid. It's the same with Unreal Engine or any piece of software that you're learning. You just need to practice. Right, so we should now be able to look at our minor, or I'm sorry, our controller. Then go to the stack counter. Then close WinZip. And you can see there that we're getting a counter. Right, so going good. That's what we want. Right? And we're going to get iron ore going, right? So hey Pooh Bell, how you doing, mate? Oh, we didn't add it. We didn't add it. We did not add it to the refiner. No. Right, so we just copy this. And we can basically just go along them, right? So we can add it to the fabricator. Event graph. Process. Then we just paste it there. And save it. Right, then we can do it in the Metalworks, even though we've actually not done anything with the Metalworks yet. But that doesn't matter, we can still add in the code that's going to be required. Right, so we can delete that. And we can paste that. We can save that. Then we've done the minor. Now we're doing the refiner. And we do the exact same thing. Look at process. We paste that. Oops. Research station doesn't do anything. Smelter, we need that. So we look at process again. We come to the end. Paste that. Do that. Save that. And there we go. Right. So, because you're late, Poobell, I'll let you know what we're doing. We're now working on graphs for the stats. Okay. So I'm building up a component that basically saves all the stats. Right. And I've not done that right. I've just realized I haven't done it right. Because we need to plug in an actual product. Or it's not going to work. So we'll plug this in here. Then we get to the smelter, which is the last one, and we basically do the same thing again. Drag this down. Okay. Right, bear with me guys, I shall be back in a second. Just going to grab a quick drink and I'll be right back.
Okay guys, we're back in the home stretch here for doing this part. Right, so now all of our places are making product, okay? With that in mind, if we now continue right, we draw our conveyor belts. Okay. Then in our smelter, right? So now, if we go to our controller, wherever the heck it is, right, so there's our controller. We can now click on this and we've got 3 members. Okay, so you can see here that our bauxite's going up, our iron ore's going up, and our iron sheet's going up, right, in our components. So that's great. That's great stuff. Okay. So I think the way I'm going to do this, right, is we're going to create, no, we're going to have the same struct, okay? We're going to have the same struct, but is this going to go in a save slot? Probably not. Right, let's try this anyway, right? So we'll go back. Right, so we're going to close our miner. We're going to close our fabricator, metalworks, and refiner, and smelter, because all of those are obviously working. Now this is our interesting one, right? But the interesting thing here is we're going to do a begin play. Right? And then what we're going to do is a custom event called reset totals. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the totals every 10 seconds, right? So we're going to say set timer by function name,
We're doing it by 10 seconds at the moment. This is going to get changed to, let's say, a minute or something, or whatever, right? But what we're going to say is, doobie-doo, what we're going to say here, well, we're going to say 10 seconds, right? And then we're going to say reset totals. Okay, now when we reset the totals, we're actually going to create a new, in the end we'll be saving it, right? We'll be saving these values, right? But for the moment we're going to put them in, we're going to basically duplicate this, right? And we're going to say running totals, okay? And then basically what we're going to say is get running totals. Well, actually we're going to get product count, right? Then we're going to say for each, okay? And then we're going to say add actually, you know what we could do? We could delete that and we could append. Right? We could append the product count to this array. Okay? And then we could say for each of these, now we are going to need a timestamp in here, right? Then we're going to set array element. We're going to break that. In fact, you know what we could do? We could just set members. Right? We could plug that in there. We could plug that in there. Then we could basically click that quantity 0 and then struct out into there. Right? So it could say set get game time in seconds, right? And this is an integer. Okay. So in our structure, where did we put this? State counter. Stats counter. Right, so in here, we're going to change this to an integer. And we'll save that. Okay. And then in here, right, refresh nodes. Right, let's see what we've got here. Right, it's basically when we reset it that we want to set this time, right, to the new time. So fundamentally, on this, and we do the timestamp. Right, and then when we actually create the thing in the array, we get seconds. Right, and we do the same here. So this is going to start giving us like a set of values. Jamie, Dante's in my Discord. If you check the description, you'll get a link to it. So yes, he does have Discord. Excuse me. Right, so if this does exactly what I think it's going to do, it's going to work a wee treat. By the way, quick update. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Football. Rangers got beat 4-0 by Ajax. Sporting Lisbon beat Frankfurt 3-0. Napoli gubbed Liverpool 4-1. That's a shocker. Tottenham won 2-0 against Marseille. Atletico Madrid are 1-0 up against Porto. Club Brugge beat Bayern Leverkusen 1-0. Barcelona smashed Victoria Plazen 5-1. And Bayern Munich beat Inter Milan 2-0 in Milan. There's a wee update for you on soccer, the Champions League. And let's try this. Okay, that's cool. Well, we didn't want that to happen, but it did. Yeah, I'm Scottish, I'm European, of course I like football. That's kind of par for the course. I don't know, I never saw it because I was streaming, so yeah, there's that. Right, so what we want to do now is I should really type in controller here, shouldn't I? Controller. Right. So, if we click on this, we've got running totals. And the timestamp doesn't look great. It is, however, getting bigger. But my problem with this is the timestamp thing. Where it's not, we've got a timestamp there. Right, so let's see what the next one is. That's 120. So it seriously went right, okay, whatever. Okay. Ah, we're resetting this. That should have been there. Right, that should work a bit better now. In theory. And on that point, guys, hit the subscribe button. Check out the description for Discord and the Patreon link.
and my previous game on Steam. Even if you add it to your wish list, that would help a lot. You don't need to buy it, just add it to your wish list. And I shall see you in 4 hours time when we will be doing some more graphs. I'm going to do a bit of background reading on this, by the way, because I'm not 100% sure on what I'm doing at the moment, but we are going to get some results out of this. So yeah, Jammy, bye everybody. Have a good day, afternoon or evening or whatever it is you're doing. And if your guys are still up and not sleeping, I'll see you at 8 PM Central. Bye bye for now.